first 7 months have already exceeded last year's dollar figure that for the town. Department news. We have gotten all of our AEDs and the computers come in when we got the new truck. Those that haven't seen it, the new police truck was delivered Monday morning of last week. We took it down to National Night Out, displayed it for all of the community to see, and put it on the road already. It goes to be marked up at performance signs on September the 10th. So that project is coming to an end as well. The grant, I'm just waiting on the month to come to an end so I can start doing the paperwork and submitting it to DCGS for reimbursement. Annual firearms training's been done. I was able to get one of our auxiliary officers certified as a taser instructor this past month. So now he'll be able to do all of our annual taser training for our officers in our department. One of the things that I wanted to talk to council about is the Tavern on the James requested that they be able to serve alcohol up until 11:15. That would be their last call, and then no alcohol on the table by 11:45. The owner down there wants to know what council's position is on that. I will just let council know that in my conversation with the ABC agent on the other business in town, I think there may be a restriction on that license, but I'm not sure what the history is. Long before I come to town, but I understood because of all of the problems, and Jim, maybe you know a little bit more than me.
There's an ordinance,
For the tavern?
I'm not sure of it downtown. That's 5 minute drop.
I think it started with the dewdrop in.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
We knocked it out of that.
Right.
That's all over. It's been what? It's been a while.
Oh, about 30 years.
Yeah.
40 maybe.
Years. No, this is more recent.
Hell,
Yeah.
new ownership maybe.
So Jim, that doesn't apply to the businesses on the outskirts of the town, it's just downtown, or is that everywhere?
It's town.
It's 10.
Well, how come we've allowed Al Cazador to serve alcohol up until 2 o'clock in the morning? If I'd known there
Maybe
was,
2 o'clock. I don't know. I have to check.
That'd be good to know what the time is.
okay,
Yeah. The town code is the town website.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I don't know what it's regular, they're probably, I'm sure. There's a category for this regulation.
I know by the state, they're allowed to 2
No,
o'clock. in
there's
the
not
morning.
positive there's an ordinance, yeah, that's your record too.
Yeah, I believe the original ordinance was 8 o'clock
Yeah, it did start over Tuesday.
when there was one restaurant that served beer, and that was it. And then it may have changed over the years.
I was thinking when the tavern opened that they wanted to go to 2 o'clock, but we cut them off at midnight.
That's possible. Yeah.
The ABC agent was telling me that there was some kind of a restriction, wasn't sure if it was in the town had put that restriction on their license or not, because I'd asked, well, why couldn't we put a restriction on that alcohol license up there with the problems? He said, well, that negotiation would have had to been done in the beginning when they applied for their permit. So I guess I have to do some more research. I'll look at the town ordinance and see what that says. Okay,
I thought there was a restriction put on it. At one time, they were playing music down there at the tavern, and we did have complaints about the music being a little bit loud. And I do think that they said, well, you know what, the music needs to be, the outdoor music needed to be stopped by what, like 9:30 or something?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. And then inside, I think they had to shut the doors, and they used to leave that door on the corner open. You could hear the music across the street, but that's been a while back here, so.
is that in all of the meeting minute notes? Mr. Townsend, how would I find that information?
I think that the music that cut back probably was what, good 5, 6 years ago, maybe even longer, so it may be in meeting somewhere else.
Cause there was some issues at the brewery as well back then.
We had,
Yeah, sure.
as a town, I was gonna say, chief, it's and Mr. Council Payne, you may remember too, I don't remember exactly, but we did have some restriction, I think that's why they're responding the way they are to the tavern. I just don't remember what it was, so we would need to go back to when we allow them, and the same thing, that you're right, there was a long conversation we had about noise issues, both with the brewery and the tavern, more the brewery. But again, I think we have to go back and see what.
I think it's more of a talking than I think, somebody said something. Now, whether it's been put down in writing or whatever, I don't have an answer for that.
Well, I think the issue with the tavern, again, they're aware of something by them asking. I think they're aware of, so it's helpful to know, like, we need to go back to see what that is. Mr. Mayor, you don't remember the.
I'm trying to.
It's a
I
new-
think they
that's
or
happened.
they could do it till midnight. But we'll have to go back and look.
I know back in the day, I remember when I worked at the county police department, they were open until after midnight and selling alcohol. There were so many problems. And I don't know how Lehman got it to where they stopped serving alcohol at 9. And then they closed at 10, something to that nature, but I'll have to try to do a little more research before I'll bring it back to council,
Yeah,
and then I
that'd be
get
great.
some more details,
It
okay?
might be that Mr. Bowling went on, is that the legal?
I don't know, we're both looking.
Okay.
The other thing that I had on the list was, sorry? The other thing I had on the list to talk to council about is the old, police department truck use. Do we want to use it as a spare, or are there other ideas for the use of that police truck down there, the white one?
Well, one thing, I was just looking at it, it'd be good to know more information about that, like, what's it cost for insurance? What would it cost? What would we get for it? What's it worth if we sold it? Just the financial part of that.
I don't know what the insurance cost on it, but the truck's worth, anywhere from about $8,000 to $10,000.
Okay, see, that kind of thing would be good to know. And then the insurance and, upkeep and stuff like that, but
Just take it to the next workshop.
yeah.
Do you need a backup?
Mhm.
Would it work with it?
It would work well.
Then, yeah, that makes
So,
sense. Keep that.
Refresh my memory, right now, how many officers we have in the town right now? Including your auxiliary.
2.5.
9,
Nine, so we have
Oh,
9
nine?
officers.
Really?
How many vehicles?
5.
5. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe a 9. but-
I think it'd be a good idea to keep the truck here, because we have an event, let's say like
Yeah,
that Halloween event.
Keep it as sort of
Every
a
vehicle we can use.
utility vehicle to haul the,
Yeah,
all the information sign around, all the everything, stuff like that. That you might not wanna do with your brand new truck.
Well, I do believe that we would get the use out of the other truck. I know just to decommission it from police lights, radio and things like that, taking the striping off of it, it's gonna probably cost us about $5,000 to decommission the truck.
Didn't have a spare vehicle in case the
Yeah.
auxiliary officer comes in and then the car needs a sign to, doesn't store it that morning.
Well, that's what we experienced come July 4th. We had one of the vehicles in an officer's home. And July 4th, I get a phone call as I'm coming into town at 6 o'clock. Hey, the car won't start. I'm like, "Ah." So anyway, it was a dead battery. We had to go back, but as we look like these special events that we have down here, and I look at the July 4th event that we talked about last month, having the capabilities to be able to block off some of these smaller streets to prevent someone from driving in to a parade route or things like that. Without vehicles, we have to depend on other people to help us block these streets and stuff off. And we do have 9 staff right now, officers. I think we could use the vehicle.
oh, yeah.
It's got 81,000 miles on it, but it still runs good, still in good condition. And it's not eating any grass other than putting gas in it and paying insurance on it. And I don't know what insurance cost, but if council would like, I'll bring that cost back next month and let you know.
Chief, the one thing is you and I talked about. Was this the first year that you added the block from the road? And we found by your report that it was actually critical that that happened. So having a vehicle like this for sure aids your ability, and I think for sure, I think there's a consensus. Keep it. In fact, maybe the mayor would even go four-wheeling or something with that. if he needed to.
It said, you got extra cars sitting around, those are deterrent, those speakers. You got a phone somewhere.
I know Alex called me last night or texted me last night and said they saw it sitting back there on the back lot, but behind the police department. Somebody come down off the hill and locked up the brakes in the town because they saw the truck. I'm like, okay. But anyway, I think with the number of officers we have, if council's okay with it, then we'll just keep it in the police
I
department.
think it's in my opinion, I think it's safer to use a vehicle to block the road. Because nowadays, people test the limits of whatever. It's easy for somebody to say, oh, I didn't see that officer standing there, that's why I told them, but if you got a vehicle parked, diagonally or whatever. It offers safety and, and also, I mean, if the vehicle breaks down and you have an officer that needs to work, you
Right.
can't go rent police cars.
Right.
Can't borrow, but I think it's in the best interest for the police department in town to keep it as a standby. That's just my 2 cents.
Crank it up there also.
Mhm. I went around and cranked it up the other day, just to keep it running and, okay. So no further information needed on that. No, sir.
And for alcohol beverages. And section 10(3). And it says the hours of sale of beer and wine in the town shall be in conformity with the laws, rules, and regulations of the common law.
2 AM.
Right, but there's something on the you drop in because we talked about that years ago, and they had, it wasn't 2 AM, it was all chaos was shooting, they let out a lot of problems. Something, I think my memory is don't congratulate a little bit. But it's not in your work, it's out, so the ABC law says you may.
So I guess with the way the tavern has been operating, is council okay? With them going and serving alcohol until 11:15 PM, last call. And then no alcohol on the table by 11:45 PM. Now, I have asked Spencer, please make sure that he gets with ABC and looks at his alcohol license to make sure that ABC hadn't put a stipulation on it.
That's the other place where.
Right.
The ABC license.
There's a thought that it's in midnight. I think that's why he's saying that. There's a thought that it.
I know on special occasions, ownership would always ask me, like New Year's, hey,
Right.
we're gonna have an event.
Right.
Are you okay, chief, if we
Mhm.
stay open until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning and then shut things down? I'm like, sure. Like I told Spencer, much like the other establishment that we've been dealing with the last 4 months, I don't want to have the same problems down here that we were having up there. With the business staying open and serving later, don't want us to have that place become another problem for the town.
There's an old saying, nothing good happens at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, and there's a lot of truth to that.
But if they can. So I guess what I'm asking, I'll let Spencer know to check his alcohol license, number one, make sure there's no restrictions on it. If his license doesn't have a restriction, he's asking us, asking you and me as the chief, is it okay for them to last call at 11:15 and then no alcohol on the table at 11:45?
Can you update us, Chief, next week and tell what you find out in terms of if there's any, or Mr. Boland, is there anything on his particular license?
Well, I've already said it's 2 AM, so.
We're talking about specifically the tavern's license.
Well, then you're gonna have, I'm not gonna be the guy for that, it's gonna have to be some sort of permit in addition to that.
It's got to be consistent, right?
It'll have to come. The way I understood it through ABC, there was a restriction put on his license, but I wouldn't have access to that.
So would that be from us finding it?
I think what I'll be able to do is Spencer will tell me if there is.
Just ask.
And he's looking for them.
Okay,
But I wanted to cross the first bridge and see what council thought on them staying open longer and serving alcohol longer, making sure that you all didn't have a problem with it. Before I made any type of decision as your chief, I would want to go in lockstep with what council wanted to do.
Is he talking 7 days a week or the weekends really don't?
I don't know. That's a great question. And I can ask him that.
Good question.
Saturday. You have restrictions on some stuff, alcohol. Call.
Oolongs.
Any other questions that council would like for me to ask?
Just a.
Would there be
every day.
music played outside or speakers, you know, in the outdoor?
No, I would let him know that all of the music stuff has to stay inside. They're just asking about alcohol. I think right now they have one night on Thursday that's
Yeah,
music.
they used to. I don't know if they still
outside.
do.
It's still on Thursday.
Is it still?
And I haven't gotten any complaints, Elizabeth, about the noise there.
Give you all the information, there's a lot of problems that sound being amplified down
But
that location is spreading out, you hear it pretty far away. They work to deal with that.
yeah, it's got to stay inside.
Yeah.
I understand that was a big problem with the brewery as well.
right.
That's where I was thinking,
Yeah.
But Mayor Rowe went around with his decibel meter. And funny way to topography of the land from up to my place, which is a good ways up the hill, it channeled all the music right out here just fine.
Really?
My house, yeah, it didn't bother me, my house was real tight when I closed it, this thing, I don't hear anything.
Mhm.
But it was, I can hear it go out the yard, it's still, yeah.
Well, I'll try to get a little more information on that and
Yeah,
I'll
that'd be
bring it
good.
back. Well, okay.
Uh,
And there was no P card purchases out of the month. Any questions on the stats that I submitted?
License online through ABC. And it just says that he is a retail restaurant for caterer. Establishment type is restaurant. And he can sell beer and wine.
Once or so for credit, you swear it. With that, I don't know.
And
All
then
right,
he
any other
expires-
questions?
He expires April 30th of 26. He's up to date.
Let us know what you find out.
Will.
Take the next step if we need to.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions for the chief? All right. Beth, you got something from Scan?
I do have a few things that open up.
Have a seat there, because like, Alex, out with us this evening.
Sure. Shut it off.
Come sit here.
Hmm?
Come sit here.
Got empty spot. So, just updates on what Scan is doing next. We're gearing up for more activities now that the summer is coming to an end. This, next to the Lake Gallery is an artist reception. We don't have a whole lot of these. What we're starting to do is feature in, when you go in that small room on the left, local artists can have their own show for 3 weeks. So this is Terry Long. And so there'll be an opening reception, and an artist talk. They'll talk about their work. So other galleries do these things. We're just getting up to speed on some of them as well. I'm excited about that. We also will, in September, be starting our first Friday's Art Walk, like they do in other areas. We open a little later, I think till 7, and we'll have wine tasting. We're learning a lot about ABC licenses, the 2 locations and who's doing what. But Muddy Paws will be our first winery, so we'll be partnering with different local winery each month. They can sell a wine, their license. We're not selling it. And then, but we'll have tastings for those that come in and want to see the art. I lived in St. Augustine, we used to call it the wine walk, but there were more art galleries. So that's new at the gallery. As far as the land and the nature, y'all have heard us talk about the regatta. You did ask at the last, council meeting, you asked if we were working with the fire department, and they said that they are already working with you that Tim.
Is that the,
The river regatta, James River Regatta.
okay,
It's gonna be on the river September 20th. You have a little time.
Yes.
They wanted to,
yeah, so we'll be providing water rescue.
Mhm.
So we'll have our boat in the water, several kayaks and personnel along the river, the whole route.
good, thank you. Thanks for being here to
Yes, ma'am.
support
Trying.
my conveying the information. Also on the same day as the Nurture with Nature, it'll be held down here with Reeling and Raftings Campground. And that's will be a free event, but we'll be getting sponsors to help cover some of the costs. I have some water activities, camping demonstrations, similar to what they did last year. This is all gonna be going on the same day, and they'll coordinate at some point. Canoes and kayaks will come into Nurture with Nature. Also in September, in the theater, we have a Drew Pace concert. I know he's performed in town, I think on the 4th Cities thing already, for the 4th of July. We also have Jeremy Short coming back September 27th. And of course, coming up just this month is Summer Shorts, the playwriting festival. Tickets are selling already. We're very excited because they decided to set it up by donation. And you never know what it's by donation. So we hope y'all will attend these things and help spread the word, because that's the media market here, is spread by word. Mostly, appreciate that. Also wanted to wrap up, you had asked, I think, about our general windows and Scan putting art in there 3 months ago. Stevie has talked to the artists, and because the feedback we had is they don't want to exhibit in there because of the sun was damaging their work when they did have the streetscapes in there. So she's priced tinting, like a film to put on the windows, and went to the owner, and they were to ask if they would help pay for that. And they said no, that they're glad to have us display in the window, but they wouldn't be.
Remember, that's an historic building, so you have to get the ARB approval.
Well, we don't have the money to do it. We don't have the bandwidth. That's what I want. That's my report back to the.
You get the money.
Hmm?
If you do get the money, you have to get the town approval too.
Okay, good to know. And we needed some other risers in there, we had just kind of put some things together after the streetscape, so that's not happening right now. Hopefully they would sell the building and we get some more business in here, but I guess they're making enough business with Doug's Maytag and the apartments. Not in any hurry. That's what we have coming up the next 2 months.
Good.
Glad to be providing these services for the town and appreciate your support. I know we see you at our events and things like that. Do you have any other questions for me?
Did the person who did the mural up there on the road, are they still,
The one down
Yeah.
at by the levee wall?
yeah, are they still connected with you all?
Yes, they can be. He's a student up in Rutgers.
One of
I
the-
want to say.
Yeah, one of an idea, I think we'd have to get permission, is I do some sort of mural on that big pillar at the boat landing. But we'd have to get permission, but I think that'd be a good use of it, because it'd be nice if we're gonna try to get a sign out there, Scottsville boat landing. It'd be nice to have some sort of mural
Sure.
or something like that, but anyway, it's just something to think about.
Yeah. A team group has contacted Stevie about doing one next year. So we could have a mural walk in town.
Yeah,
Our
that'd be nice.
tree tag
Sounds
walk,
nice, yeah.
so more interest in the town. Yes, we're in connection with him. He's connected with Deja with her art
Yeah,
group. She's the one that found him
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
And he was very pleasant to work
there
with.
used to be a nice mural on the by the boat landing, I mean, by Canal Basin Square. Do you know about that?
I've heard about it.
That would be a nice use for that building. It's just a wall there, and I think they had some bateaus or something there, but that'd be nice.
Mhm.
And what we need to do is get together sometime and then maybe by the end of this week and talk about the renewal of the lease.
Yes, I have already talked to these two that y'all had designated to talk with me,
Yeah,
which they did, and
Okay.
our board meeting is this Thursday.
all right.
So I wanted to take it to the board meeting and not email back and
Alright,
forth
then
with
we can,
decisions like this.
Who, if we need to approve something next Monday?
Yeah,
Or do you want to take it?
sure.
I was told like, well, the year before your rent was 300, this new year was 400.
Right,
So with a 30, was it
something percent.
public math, I should do it,
Mhm.
30-something%. We had talked about 5% increase, so
Yes.
the rent would be 420. For this new year,
Right.
5% increase.
And that's agreeable to me, but I'm only one vote. You think I'm important as the board president.
The one board member mentioned to me, since there has to be some repair work done from the damage from the mold,
Yes,
that if the town wanted to work out a deal where we pay for the wood, the scan would pay for the labor.
I thought on the lease, which I don't have in front of me, that any repair over a certain amount is all responsibility of the town.
No, I'm just telling you what one board member told me.
Well, that's not what the lease reads, so.
Well, that's why we're negotiating a new one.
What was it? Wasn't the lease higher before COVID and they
It
reduced
was at 600.
And we never got back to that, did we?
No, because, and I hope you don't ever do that. Or under current circumstances, they had a church renting every Sunday morning. For 3 or 4 hours at the church, that made pretty much the monthly rent. And the rest of the monies that came in paid for the insurance and the utilities. The electric bill for that whole downstairs,
So you're
it
saying,
averages 200 a month.
You guys take care of the electric?
And the whole downstairs, yes,
so you're saying the number that the two town councilors came up with, that
Correct.
seems okay with you?
correct.
We're in a position where they haven't got anywhere else to go and we don't have anybody to come in. So we really got to work closely together. Just the increase was to try to recoup a small portion of the expenses that we've incurred with the mold. It would take a long time to totally recoup. But
I like that y'all agree, that's good.
Thank you. And to this point, that was a steep increase the prior year.
Sure.
When you just look at even leases in general, just trying to not get back to where you were in a previous time, but what's reasonable going forward as we're rebuilding, getting things back into Victory Hall. Good job.
You were correct, and like you said, I have the lease
Thank you.
here, and it's the tenant that's responsible for the first 500 of expenses incurred for maintenance of any item or repair, replacement of item, except for those involving issues of safety and security. And then it says the landlord shall be responsible for costs exceeding the initial $500 paid by the tenant.
And I'm not even sure where it would fit with, it was a maintenance inspection issue with the cracked pan from under the freezer that was leaking out. Was it, I don't know where you draw the line with what's damaged and not, but I remember the 500 threshold. It wasn't anything that scanned. It was town's property that leaked.
Let us know what your board decides.
I will.
We can put that on the agenda for next month.
Yes, would definitely be on the agenda.
so it should be taking 420 to the board.
Mhm. Yes. Thank you. Very good.
Sounds good.
Any
Appreciate
other
that.
questions for Stan?
Yes, if the partnership is important, we can do that. We're not competing here with what we're trying to do all together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
you,
James
Beth.
is not here this evening. We have a chamber board meeting in the morning at 8:30. If anybody's interested in attending. I can report on that meeting next week. On October the 18th, we have a wine festival. It's gonna be at Canal Basin Square. I don't know the hours yet, but also during that same weekend is the museum's annual Spirit Walk, which is being formulated now, and scripts being written and actors being recruited. Farmers Market's not here, ARB is not here, Planning Commission is here.
last week in our meeting. Really, there wasn't anything major other than Nancy is now here on the commission. Molly is now chair on the meetings, and we are still working to finish the document for the town council, and that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any questions for planning? Mr. Heisen?
I sent the agenda, or I sent the minutes for the government service, so I go more of that next week. So if you look through the minutes, if you have any questions, I can go over that next week. Parks and Rec, the minutes aren't done, we're not meeting this month, but one of the two things working on Canal Basin Square and the dam, looking at that, but there was also a question that came up at, somebody marked the trees on the trails and it wasn't the park, so I don't know if anybody knows who did that. But there were spray paint on several trees on a couple, and and it does mark the trail to some degree. I don't think they did a real great job, but it's okay. But it was, I think if the trails are marked or if there's anything done on the Van Cleef nature, I think it should be coordinating, communicating with the committee instead of just going ahead and doing it. So, I mean, there was one was maroon paint, the other one was blue paint. Anyway, it's just, I don't know who did it, but we asked and nobody seems to know who did that. So anyway, they do need to be marked but it's pretty obvious where the trail is for the most part too. But I hate seeing lots of paint on trees. The first years ago, they put some blue paint all over these trees and it was just terrible. So, but anyway, so if you find out who marks the trees, let me know and we'll work with them.
All right, any questions? Mr. Townsend, any report?
Part of the work, the committee, Jack was working on some regional certification stuff, and he's also working on designing a certain website. I'll cover the other stuff on the area of the topic there.
Okay.
That would be good.
All right,
And then the other side.
Mr. Whitley, you got anything for us?
Nothing new on the event side. We know the Canal Basin Square Fridays is continuing on August 22nd, the next one. The organizers for that are been talking to the town administrator about adding on something to Halloween. So I don't know any further, they haven't told me any further details. They're just in the works and planning. So take some of the I believe they have a sponsor also for Halloween and continuing the sponsorships on to that.
It actually falls on a Friday this time.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I
was just curious, is it a committee or are you just the coordinator or the
I
contact?
just talk.
You're the contact person for the events, but you're not a committee, are you?
No.
Okay, you're the contact. If somebody wants to do an event, they would go to you.
Well, I'm a good person to start with. I'm sure
Okay.
town administrator is probably better.
Okay, I just wondered.
The ball rolling. If it's a new event, I mean, there's events all the time that no one ever
Right.
harass me
Yeah.
until I see the fly, like the river regatta.
Okay.
I just happen to talk.
Okay.
So like when I see Mr. Z's barbecue parked up by the structural steel,
Yeah,
I'll stop and chat with him for a minute, see how they're doing, ask them what question,
yeah,
Andy and some of the other folks that don't. I mean, that's how I find out about.
right.
Stop and talk to people. That's
Yeah.
where I find out.
No, I
The
was
barrier
just
to
curious
work
if you
with-
met like a committee like we do, but
No.
you're the contact person. Okay.
As a committee, but when they started to loop me in, they were meeting at the brewery like
Yeah.
at 4 o'clock. And I was like, that's a great idea, but I'm still at work.
Okay, okay,
So as long as folks know that,
Yeah.
wrap me in for anything
Okay.
that they want.
okay.
And I think they're happy right now with everything's proceeding. In fact,
Yeah.
I talked to them at the night out. They were down there serving barbecue that evening.
That's good. Yeah, as long as we have some coordination with the town on these things.
Yeah, it's pretty informal on my part.
Yeah.
There's a town administrator that I tell them that's your point of contact for everything now that Elizabeth, so, yeah.
Any questions from Mr. Whitley? Treasurer's report, Elizabeth? Yeah, treasurer's report, for us?
I'm sorry,
Treasurer's report. You're the treasurer.
yes, I am the treasurer, and can I wrap it into everything else, or I don't have specifics right now to tell you about the treasurer?
Give us, if you get anything together, you want to email out to us before next Monday, that'll be fine, and if not, we'll expect the treasurer's report next Monday.
Okay.
All right,
Well, we do have to get a new sign at the end of town. Structural steel truck ran over our sign. Putting in this month. And they are gonna pay for it, so
You're gonna get a new battery sign?
yeah. It happened right in front of me, I don't know what the guy was doing, but he went over the hill, hit the sign. Popping back out onto the road, there
was it Mike driving the truck?
I don't know, it was a greenish blue Chevy with a. Rack on top
So
of
you
it.
have to call
Oh, yeah. I mean, he drove everything out the middle of the road, luckily some guy stopped and took everything off the road, because the guy took off. I mean, he just. Took off down past the market, and I was like,
You wasn't far from work.
Yeah.
All right, moving along, mayor's report is pretty brief. Had a museum board meeting this past Saturday, joined some others of you at National Night Out. Saw that new helicopter come in, that was pretty neat, because it looks like it's got twice as much room in it as the old helicopter had.
Yes, sir, it does.
Was interviewed down there that night for a commercial that the Southern Development and their partners are doing for to promote the town of Scottsville. Went to the planning commission meeting for a brief time last Monday night to welcome Molly as chairman and Nancy as member. And that's about it. Don't know of anything else exciting. Mr. Bowling, is there anything you'd like to pass on to us?
I mean, the county administrators, they keep me busy and principally, I'll get on the hot course. I've given you a lengthy summary of where you are on over the years negotiations for the cell tower. Currently negotiations, and I also brought up here some background information on your downtown parking history. And I've also delved into an operable vehicle situation. It appears that we don't have inoperable vehicles, which many localities in Virginia do. So at some point, at an opportunity time, we found a number of these changes left. Again, probably see a proposal for the town administrator to adopt for this. But the operable vehicle question was parked in the municipal lot next door. We basically one of the municipal lots and as a result of a special use permit. Having to decide that part of the special use permit parking would be a lot. I think we've got that under control personally because the car was moved, but now we'll address the problem specifically. So have cars here, there, and anywhere that aren't licensed or inoperable. Essentially, the definition of inoperable don't have a current sticker, and the fashion sticker will current and license on. Really able to deal with that.
Was it gonna be on the public, private property, or how you got?
Well, it's going to be on
Somebody got.
it's going to be on public property, you know, on private property, you can list with you correctly if I'm wrong. Well, what you do is that can be just as irritating as public property, if your guy's got an old vehicle jacked up on considerable, send it. I hear it plus, but I'm sitting, even in a provision which allows required vehicles that private property that are allowable to be in garages or sheltered in some fashion, that's what each side would be.
Fortune over off of Harold.
I know Albemarle County's got an ordinance, yeah, and theirs is pretty good, and we could have used it twice down here. I know the chief negotiated, excuse me, one car being moved year before last, that was okay, but this one stayed here forever.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Bowling? And Town Administrator, you have a report for us?
Yes, so perfect segue, thank you. I have a draft of, an inoperable vehicle. Notification order, to add to our chapter 82. So I'll be sending this out to you all to look at, and upon, Mr. Bowling's recommendation, I did look at Albemarle County. Which I also have in Charlottesville, and I looked at some of their information, I can also provide this, so you all can make a decision how you want it read, but, for example, it talks about storage restrictions and the number of vehicles permitted. Informal administrative appeal, the calls for recovery, penalties. But in some, Albemarle and Charlottesville differ in that one of them, Charlottesville is more strict. And they'll allow one shielded inoperable vehicle. But Albemarle will let you have, like, if there's somebody that does hobby, fixing up cars or something like that, so. I'll provide you all with this information, my, proposed ordinance update, and then my notes here, just. Guess what, so we'll have to decide on that. Mr. Bowman also, talked about the cell tower. And that was something else that I put together that, actually was in your packet. I just did a summary of just a quick background, the proposal. And the differences, the financial analysis and on that, and then when we were sitting here, we were talking about different options. I didn't realize that there was another option that is not in this information. However, when I was stepping away, I was looking to see, running more numbers. It still is not a good, option, I don't think, for the town to accept. Their proposals. But this one is in here, I'll update it and provide you all with the other options, but what? Yes.
Can I recap something? Sorry to interrupt you, but this is just a restating it for myself and just making sure I understand. Originally, what the cell tower company offered was something we were interested in. Mr. Bowling came back and said, we can't do it based on those years. We went to talk to them again and their offers were much less than what we had. And so your recommendation is, in a sense, leave it alone at the moment.
Yes.
And I think based on the numbers, that seems to make sense.
That's why it was sued, is that they can get out of it. So the industry becomes obsolete. You're not gonna get a full payout of the lease, you send up with next month, nothing. So that's the wild card.
Right. Well, the lease is for 5 years.
Oh, no, it runs, through the current one is through, 32 sometime in that was the third time.
2034, that's the 40-year constitutional limit.
Yeah, but they didn't have a 5 year, essentially, the maximum every 5 years for 15.
There's a 15% increase in what they pay every 5 years.
Yeah, that's.
And they had, the original lease was 1994 to 2001, 3 10-year renewal options.
Okay, it was updated substantially, it was updated fairly recently.
So 2034.
Yeah,
So if we all started using satellites instead of cell phone power by 2034.
well, or 2026 you get, and that in the end, they can get out of it, so
Yeah.
that's the tension.
Yeah.
And I don't really squat back, cell phone technology and prediction, future best method of license, as soon as something quit.
Stay here.
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome. And I've also, recently, I don't remember who I was talking to that was, telling me about different, powers and options. Apparently, you can put cell towers on water towers if they're, you know, can sustain, I guess, the weight or whatever. So I understand that we have two, water towers. So I'm now exploring like how to, send out an RFI, request for information or an RFP to other carriers to find out if anyone else is interested, because that seems to be pretty good revenue that the town gets for supporting the cell towers. So that's literally just Friday, Monday, I started looking at that.
The water tower, James River Road, at much higher elevation, I think, than that tower right there, and the one right.
The problem with our water towers is they're not all that tall. Sometimes you see all these transponders on these huge,
Right.
big water towers that are 150, 200 feet in the air. And, something to look into it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're Albemarle's anyhow.
Speaking of paranoid, if it's look out the window, there's one.
Yeah.
yeah, so like I said, I just started looking into that, but, I'll let you all know, I should have, you know, some answer by next week to see if it's a go or what are the requirements for that. The other thing, that I've been working on is, I drafted another letter for, residents and business owners. For the parking, so Bill provided a document that he also drafted. And then I used the other letter, so I have 4 documents here that are all letters and, you know, I think I've included that for you all's review. I'd really like to just put this to bed and just have a document, send it out. And be done with it and maybe revisit it in 6 months to see if, you know, there's still a situation or not, but. I just, you know, I emailed the guys at that as well and provided a copy, so I just, you know, like to. Concentrate on grants and revenue and budgets and things like that. We talked about the. Volunteer policy, I have, I did shorten it, I don't know, the councilman already said that we shorten it some, so it's not so long. I have 2 different ones a little bit more involved, and I can do that, help what I'm doing, if they're in here, working on documents that they just see, they could do something we don't like, that, you know, that's not really great, you know, something. In that application and policy is a little bit, you know, residents. That's.
I'm gonna say thank you to like the data that you did in a couple of these. Emails is very helpful, so I know you spent a lot of time compiling the information and I found it very helpful, so.
Yeah, just do a pack one of books. Council does that, I once I speak to the council myself, since you come on and you started the job, information you have put out, the basic feel more. I have a better understanding. Before I was kind of confused, but you've been very helpful and everything I've seen at this day has been A plus. Thank you, the people, good work.
Thank you.
I just want to do that, I feel we keep that. Thank you very much.
And then the last thing we have, and I don't know, Melody felt ran on the parade here by mentioning that. We had a business license that we had, been, you know, received money for. And they canceled it, so because the sale fell through at the very good, tavern. So, we were trying to figure out like, what do we do? Yeah, do we give the money back? Do we not? Whatever. So we did decide that, we would refund the $50 to a gentleman But then also we realized that we don't really have, an up-to-date ordinance with that, so I've written another, ordinance for us to revisit. Sorry. It also found out that there's a $30 maximum. And Jim, you might wanna step in here, the state code says that towns with population smaller than 25,000 are permitted to set a business license fee up to a maximum of $30 per business per year.
Well, it used to be $50, and it's some sort of, it pays you, $30 instead of credit. And complication, but we pick that up and get that before. The business license, that's all. The kind of codes you have when you recodify the whole, the recodification, well, didn't change substantively any term of the ordinance. Well, the legislative back, all it did was update the state code references in the various town code sections. So when you adopt a lot of the ordinances, you'll find that, and I just have to say too, a lot of this stuff was created back when the town last got the big organization, land from Alpine County, in was it there, the nineties, what day? It was 1990s. And at that point, the county must have said, the town, okay, want to do this. We want you to have, update your town code. So at that point, town went out and literally adopted Alpine County's license tax ordinance and Alpine County zoning ordinance and substituted Scottsville, and that's largely what you've been working with since then, by and large. That's not necessarily bad, but that's the situation.
So on my business license, excuse me, on my business license forms, do you need to change that to $30 and not charge 50?
Yes.
Okay, we need to change our forms immediately then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So point, we don't wait around and keep charging $50.
Yeah.
Since I paid 50 each year for the last couple of years, can I?
Now, the other question I have, since we are lowering it down, changing the form, do we have to advertise that?
There's state code, which says you have to advertise if you increase the levy of your bond,
Okay,
but it says increase. You're decreasing.
now does it change any of my amounts, I guess, for I want to say for the second year?
I can't get you that, but what you're talking about.
We charge like, if it's a retail merchant, it's
Based on gross receipts.
yeah, based on gross
Yeah.
receipts, and we charge at 0.20. Does any of that change since we're smaller than everywhere else since we use it?
Anything I found was the application fee, which went down to something like every year, sometime after 2010, sometime thereafter, and over the basic rates for retail and wholesale would change.
That would drastically hurt our budget if that were the case.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So the draft ordinance, are you all okay with me, do you want me to read it to you that I have here? And maybe vote next week, or do you want me to provide this as a written document, so at your user, you can look at on draft?
Not changing anything substantively.
Well, let me say.
Change anything substantively as far as whatever that is.
Policy.
Okay. So you may want to just send it to them ahead of time.
Okay.
And give them a chance to digest it. Then they can consider it at the next meeting. So that's next week, but and then they can direct you what to do with that, or if that makes sense to you.
Okay, any other comments from the town administrator? Okay, any questions for the town administrator?
Did you make any comments about the actual volunteer application? You referred to the policy, I think.
I don't have that.
I didn't change the policy itself, I did, shorten the forms, do you want to see?
No, I'm fine with that. And then the actual application, it changes on that.
Yeah, well, I
volunteer.
used, assisting, and then I think something that I added was like a birthday, or just trying to get an idea of how old, someone, a volunteer would be. And how many hours, what's their preferred days, and what type of volunteer you're interested in. And then I did have the experience and skills and background information. I want to know if they're convicted of a felony, theft, fraud, or crimes involving dishonesty. And are they currently involved in any legal proceedings?
So you can send us a copy.
Yes.
Yeah, send us a
Copy of that and a copy of the
Yeah.
application. For us to look at before next week.
Yes, for sure.
So,
Okay, well, new topics, I think Mr. Payne has first two on the new topics, so I'll just turn the floor over to him.
alrighty. I had asked Elizabeth to compare our maintenance program against subcontracting out different maintenance duties. And she did a really good job. Of course, if we didn't have a maintenance committee, we could save a substantial amount of money. On the other hand, don't know what people charge, we sub it out, we could spend a lot of money too. So she did a good job of balancing those. And she came up with the idea, and correct me, Elizabeth, if I'm wrong, that, we would go ahead and stay with what we have right now, with some pretty stringent supervisory overlook, if you will, and see how it works out the way we are right now. Of course, we always have the option in the future to take any action we want. My only thing is in the wintertime, it's still grass to cut and less activity in the town and hopefully less maintenance. But I'd like to see more production this winter than we did last winter.
Reactivate the snowplow. The
Yeah,
old truck we had, the snowplow.
yeah, I do. Well, we get this street cleaner down here and just blow it off.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's basically what she's done. I'm sure she's got some comments on that too.
I don't think you want to hear
But you say it better than I do, so.
Sure.
But no, I appreciate what you said, and I have, a couple little things that I've asked him to do. Like I said in the correspondence I sent you all, he's done everything that I've asked him. Started with park the truck down here, changed up his schedule a little bit. He checks in with me, at least a couple times a day, sends me photographs, because I'm like, tell me what you're doing, send me a picture. And anyway, so I've been quite pleased with how he's been responding. I think maybe it just needed a little bit more structure to his day and have it, on the computer and have the maintenance log. So the information that I provided, I was trying to compare everything. So I don't know if you have any other questions about that or not, but.
Did we ever determine whether we were going to subcontract the grass cutting for the remainder of the season as opposed to buying?
That's on the agenda too.
Is that on the agenda?
Kevin's here too for that.
Okay.
We're gonna do that, but that's kind of goes hand in hand with that. Cause he has not done very well with the grass cutting.
Just that. All right, anyway, that's all I had to say about the maintenance. Elizabeth's done a good job of looking at it and we can look at her recommendations. The new dumpster, it's not a, it might be a new dumpster idea. I know we've had problems in the past down at the farmers market with the large dumpster. With private citizens using it, abusing it. And Elizabeth said that she had talked with Jam and who had in turn had talked to the dumpster company, and they're gonna lock the top of it to only allow access by the side, and the maintenance would have the keys to the side. So in other words, no public access. And we might not need to dump this many times. We have to keep an eye on that. I suggested, because of the smaller dump cans we have down here, I don't know what the policy is with the trash people, whether they don't lift cans up and dump them like you used to, or did they take your bags out? I'm not sure how they do it. But I know the larger one we have, stands that tall, is overflowing every week. I mean, every week. And you all passed it when you came in here. I'm sure you all noticed it. So, either decrease the amount of trash generated. I'm not sure if that's being abused by the public or not.
All up to go in that space, that small dumpster.
It would take up room out this way. I was just thinking about just the wheel dumpster, because some trash companies, if they hadn't got wheels on them, they're not gonna pick it up. I mean, they'll wheel it out to that truck and flip it over like that. All of those are made like that, but some of them just won't pick up a regular old trash can.
They don't dump it, they'll take bags out, but I also, because of this discussion, I asked Jan to bring, there's extra. The big Rubbermaid trash cans at the maintenance, and I asked them to bring them.
But I'm not sure if they've got wheels on them or not. I think,
As long as there's a bag in it, and put it back, then they put the trash in it, then the trash people should take them, take it,
yeah,
they'll take it, but it's the other election people that will not take anything, that's not in bag.
so anyway, that was my discussion on the dumpsters, just to try to clean up this area down here and try to keep it hidden.
Put, some nice flowers in there for maybe late summer or fall, and put out by the door, so the tall planters that are sitting back there hiding, behind trash cans, so he brought down for me, so that's what they're sitting there for.
Any questions for Mr. Payne? Mr. Briscoe?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'm excited to take a few moments to talk about an event from history and something of local significance, and significance actually of both Commonwealth and national significance. So one of the things about Scottsville is that we have a deep history of the town, and we also are located nearby to lots of other famous things. We have an opportunity in the next couple of months to enjoy something new that's going to be happening in the state of Virginia. Mr. Mayor, you know the history. I think, Bill, you know the history. Some others may not. Is that, and I did not. This is all new to me. So a couple of years ago, in my job in the tour industry, I wanted to create a tour for Appomattox, and in doing so, been deeply impacted by it. It's a little less than an hour away. And in that effort, I came across the Moton Museum, of which I'll pass around the brochures here. Didn't know about it. It has to do with the story of Barbara Johns, who was a 16-year-old girl in 1951, and she led a walkout in her high school. And it ended up that became part of Brown versus Board of Education. So that takes place over in Farmville. There's a 13-year history that goes on from that event. Eventually, there's another case that takes to open the schools in Farmville because they closed them in 1959. And I've been very humbled. This is another depiction. Our current Civil Rights Memorial in Richmond is a depiction of Barbara Johns. Okay, so why am I bringing this up now? Number one, I suggest that students, families, people that live nearby would really find great value in visiting that museum over there. I think it also is helpful for us as a town because it's beneficial for us as we're tied into other historic sites and events. But there's also something relevant now. 5 years ago, the state of Virginia decided to change one of the statutes that we have in the Capitol. Every state has an opportunity to have 2 statues representing the state in the United States Capitol. And Virginia decided to replace it with these statues. And there was a competition, and then the new statue going into the Capitol is going to be Barbara Johns. And so this 16-year-old girl who is pretty very exemplary in history. It's a very wonderful story. When I tell Virginia history, which I do in the tour history, it's neat now to talk about this. So the statue is nearing completion. It's going to go in the Capitol within the next couple of months. It's a story that's going to have some big national relevance. And so my suggestion to us as town councilors and as the town, happy to help if anybody's interested in learning more about it, see it in the Capitol, go to Farmville. It's an interesting story, and it's both, I think, good for us as a town to be aware of it. It's also a neat story. I wish I had known this. I didn't know anything about this courageous young lady who changed history. And for me, I've had a chance to take some of my family over there already. And again, anybody who wants to go, I'm happy to tell you how to do it, but be aware too. This is a neat story that I think it's good, given all that we've been through as a community, our town's been through. It's a positive story for the future. So I'm excited just to mention it.
Well, thank you. All right, minutes and correction of minutes. Who's? This town, what are we gonna talk about minutes and correction of minutes? What's
Sure,
it about?
yes, so I made up just a fact sheet that, again, I'll be glad to provide as well. But, let me tell you, so Virginia law requires, minutes must include the date, time, location of the meeting, the names of members present and absent, summary of marriages, and decisions made, and record of index, you all know that. But there is no verbatim requirement. Virginia Code, 2.2-3707 only requires a summary, not a transcript of discussions. And, the town clerk or delegated staff pays the draft. This came up because, in talking to Melody, she was working one day, like she was earlier today, doing the minutes, listening to the recording and everything. And we were talking about what could possibly, be easier or better use of her time. But anyway, so that's why I started looking into the minutes. I think we're still looking into, whether on Zoom, if you can record the minutes and then it transpose, but if we do that, we have to make sure that the microphones are picking up each person when they talk, or either you say, identify yourself before you speak. But anyway, so the minutes are approved, draft minutes are distributed to the council for the next meeting, ideally. And corrections can be proposed at the next meeting, and minutes are approved by the majority vote. The recording effect is a backup. But just to say what is not required or advised is, I don't want to get in the habit of looking over and editing minutes before our meeting. I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. And I don't think that we need, draft reviews for, everyone to be doing that. I mean, I don't, most of you all have jobs as well as volunteering your time to do this. This aligns with Virginia law and other municipalities' practice. And more importantly, I think the most important thing to me is that when we keep on going through drafts of how to say it and what was said, and whatever, it prevents the delay of getting this information to the public, and that is required that we have to follow it, so, that's. I don't know if we want to have anything that.
I'll just say that one of the requirements of the meetings that the transcript you made, I mean, lots of localities have on their website a location where you can go and listen to the meeting that you just asked me. And then hear exactly what was said, and, should that maybe something you can do too. I mean, in particular, I know Alabama County has that, so. Might be as difficult as it sounds. But maybe cost a lot of money too.
Right. Well, I mean, we are working to get the minutes in a more timely fashion and get them out to everyone, and especially the public. So,
You know, how far behind we are, or how many, I haven't seen minutes in months. You know, and I don't care about the ones from 5 months ago, but I do care about the ones of 2 weeks ago or a month, just to keep us in. But, so that's one of my questions. The other thing is, can we just use the videos instead of minutes, or do you gotta have written minutes?
You have to have 40 minutes.
You have to have written minutes or written?
Yeah.
So you have to have written minutes, okay, so,
they're not intended to be a transcript.
right, just a summary, I understand that.
One point, I'm a county board of supervisors, in my knowledge, about 2.5 years behind group of minutes.
Wow.
Everybody insisted.
I think we are too.
On every word that every supervisor said being recorded in the minutes, that's not required. Do that if you want to.
Uh-huh, that,
What they ended up doing to solve their problems, they hired a professional transcription service, which essentially is the court reporting service. And so they spend a large sum of money, tens of thousands of dollars each year to transcription companies, putting them.
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just like-
And I don't know how much, if you're required to have the tape. And somebody can come in and at the least and listen to it, and if there's a cheap way to put it on your websites so that somebody can listen to particular meetings and have the help the council members.
It's already there.
Yeah.
Once this, this is recorded. End the recording, it converts it onto YouTube. And then we take that and put it on our website under agendas and meetings.
And so it's public record.
It's public record, that's
So you can go to all the recordings. You can essentially see you see what this video is taking.
right.
And listen to what exactly was said for every meeting, how long for the last year or.
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
One thing,
And it's the thing that the most important thing being reported, excuse me, is votes.
Right.
You know, that is the big thing, is the votes. I'm not gonna say here and say, you know, Mr. Payne wanted a dumpster, blah, blah, blah. This person said, well, no, I don't want it. That's not what it's meant to do. It's just meant to say, okay, we talked about dumpster at blah, blah, blah. We talked about, you know, business licenses and reducing our paperwork. That's what needs to be in the minutes. It doesn't say, you know, it's not an English lesson.
one thing I was just gonna say, so first of all, thank you, I think it's great, it's good that you're dealing with this. We did have a lot of debate in the past, and sometimes I've said that what I said the first time was bad enough, so reading it again is good. So it's fun, but I think there are some people, in other words, I'm on the minimal side in terms of, I think what you do is fine, but I think it's fair. Other town councilors have expressed they want those, so. Whatever the minimal that can keep you guys, like it's moving forward is fine with me, but I also wanna be. Mindful of people who want more, so. Whatever the balance is, I'm about the path of least resistance on this, cause I agree with you, to me, this is. Of issues of the Scottsville Town Council, if there's something of less importance in my mind, I can't think what it is.
Well, let me ask you, Jim, would we need minutes for this meeting? Because we don't do any voting in this meeting.
Yes, sure.
You still need minutes? Just the topics?
Nothing for those of all.
So that this would be the agenda would be enough of the minutes, basically.
Well, no, that's not what's on the agenda, it's who, what, when, and where,
Oh, wow.
but that's not a lot.
So we would need minutes for the ARB and the planning commission.
Yeah, okay, but it's all public meetings,
Wow,
but.
not committees, but committees are not necessarily, because I don't think we have minutes for all the committees.
You don't have minutes, but you can, I'm gonna spend $82,000
Right.
a year.
I know.
For transportation service.
Right, I agree.
For police force.
Yeah. Right.
You know, that's the reality.
And I just Golden State, that's who our model uses. For a year of just the town council meeting and the town council work session alone was $12,000 for a year.
We just lost 40% of our business license revenue too. And as an example, I went back 2 years for an architectural review board meeting, watched the recording for it. So it is available out there online. I as a citizen issue, what I'm concerned about. But you know, the stuff is out there. I mean, it's just a framework, and then you know, flesh it out with the votes and the other things. I mean, at some point there's a compromise.
Yeah, simplify.
We're looking at couch cushions, and looking for change in the food line parking lot. Just
So we-
40% of our business.
In school, we used to outline a book and then you go back and read it, you know. You remember that, Dan? Yeah, the outline.
Don't give our secrets away now.
Okay, Madam Town Administrator, let's get into the general topics.
That's the good, so.
You're up. Carry over topics. Also about public bathrooms.
Okay, public bathrooms. So, actually, I did talk with, Emily came in today and then Jim also told me this too. That sometime while he's been gone, that, somebody kicked off, a paper towel holder in one of the restrooms. So, yeah, again, so I think he's ordered, or maybe, yes, did order a new, paper towel dispenser to put back on the bathroom wall. So this is, I mean, I think we've talked about this, it makes sense to me to have the bathrooms open during the season, like at normal business hours from maybe, I don't know, 8 to 5 or 8 to 4 or something like that, but, I don't know who is responsible for opening and closing the bathrooms. You know, but other people have volunteered to do that. I don't know if that's something that, we want Jan to do. I even said, no, sir, isn't there locks out there that you can remotely open or close things? I think there are.
There are.
In the past, we had the maintenance open up in the morning and the police were kind enough to close in the evening.
Yeah, same with didn't they turn the lights off at the tennis courts too at one point?
I
10 o'clock at night.
never got over that. No, and I don't remember. That's, you know, that's the way it worked one time now.
Right.
But I've been checking on them. They're, as long as some people check on them, I think they're in pretty good shape. They just need to be cleaned, but I do think they need to be locked and
Yeah.
closed for the season in October or November to
Right.
March, but
Use.
yeah, but you know, but they're used a lot. They're used a lot, and I think it's nice that they are opened.
We have no heat there, so I mean, you're in jeopardy of blowing your plumber, so
Okay, yeah, so close them.
in the winter, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So do you all want me to look into locks maybe? See if
There's a way you could,
You know, for the rest of
Program?
the season, why don't we see if Jan will open them up and check them in the morning, make sure they're clean. Presentable. And then we'll talk, talk to the chief, maybe about whoever's on duty that night, swinging by and locking them up.
I'll check with him.
Yeah, that's
Put that on Jam's list to unlock and check the bathroom and appropriate cleanliness and supplies.
Okay,
Okay,
and also, just to let you know, the storage facility down there at the farmer's market, I've also talked to Jim about. Cleaning those out and,
good.
just straightening those up. And, Amelie and her mom also said that they would help do that, so, anyway, cause they had come up and they were looking for the battery or the charger for the leaf blower and other things. So I was talking to them about cleaning that section up as well.
okay,
That's great. Yeah.
emergency preparedness, which one of you want to speak to that?
I got a few things I'm gonna say, I don't know, just to remind some of y'all, several months ago, there was some discussion of. Other councilors and people were wondering what we should do about the emergency preparedness council. Committee, I had asked to give me 3 months so I could go and do my research. Find out, check into it and everything, see everything that's involved, because I did not want to make a rash decision without having all the details and everything. So just to give you a little heads up on everything, so I've had one informal meeting with Jack, we met up at the brewery and he told me what was going on and what was taking place. And so I asked Jack to reach out to me and give me the name of all the people that were on the EPC Emergency Preparedness Committee members. I sent an email out to all the people that I was given to that committee. Just to give you an idea, the email I sent out to them was, give me a quick second, I want to. Let's see. Okay, yeah, this is, so it was like, good morning, I'm reaching out to members of the EPC because they were concerned about, from members of the town about the committee. Explained to them that I was the liaison for the committee and that I asked to follow up on the matter. I asked the people, the question was, do you still have an interest in serving on the committee? When was the last time you were at a committee meeting? Do you feel this, do you feel that this committee is beneficial to the town of Scottsville? What role do you feel that this committee has toward an emergency event or disaster or crisis involving Scottsville? And I asked people to please let me know their thoughts on these issues. I gave them where they could respond to me, and I even told them I wanted I gave them several months. Only one person responded to that email. Their response to me is that they told me what they thought, and a lot of people look at the Emergency Preparedness Council when the town of Scottsville adopted it was June the 17th, I believe. June 17th of 2024. Asked for sponsorship of the EPC. From what I've gathered, EPC is only supposed to be for a preparedness committee to help the town in the event of an emergency. We do have a search program which Jack has worked very hard on. Thank you, Jack, for all the time you put in for it. As speaking to several members of the council and Elizabeth, maybe the town may have not looked at the big picture. I do feel that with the scope, the community emergency response team is under the EPC. I do know that we have equipment in this place over here. I've spoken with Jack. Jack just told me, he gave me a monetary amount of how much the equipment is. It's a quite significant number. I personally feel that the town of Scottsville should not be responsible for that equipment, because if something happened to it, this equipment has been given to a volunteer organization that outside of Scottsville we should not be responsible for it.
Walter, have you moved on from EPC to CERC by saying that?
So. Is federal, it's a federal thing, and it is volunteer, and from the research that I have done. Is that it's usually activated by, which could be the town of Scottsville or the chief of the police or the chief of the fire department.
That's what I'm saying, you were talking about the EPC,
Right,
so.
So the other thing, as far as the EPC goes, is I have seen that we kind of this so look at my notes.
So I think his point is this, there are two things, there's CPC and then the CERT, and they're different.
Yeah. So for example, okay. And Elizabeth, feel free to correct me, under state law, the town needs to have an emergency operations plan, which is fine. Emergency operations plans can be done, it can be done by the administrator and the mayor. And the chief of police and the chief of the fire department. I do not believe that a committee or any other outside source needs to have any input on that. An emergency operation plan and in some aspect needs to be private, confidential. Because it's just how things operate. My recommendation for this EPC. I don't think we need it. Does Scottsville need a community emergency response team? Sure, it does. I think it's great you have people want to volunteer for the community. I do not think that the town of Scottsville should be responsible or have any legal responsibility for it. At the same time, I don't think that we have all the water that was over there. We've been responsible for the water and the equipment over here. It's just, and it does concern me that I reached out to other people who have said that they were going to be on the committee, and nobody has shown forth any effort. Before the, I just don't see a committee being worthy of having if you only have 2 members on it, a liaison and 1 person. And that is some of my findings, and there's no hard, I don't want anyone to think there's any hard feelings, it's not. It's just, I'm looking at it, as being a town councilor, if there's JPC, I'll make myself available to any of the other committees. And I'll be more than happy to be a person of contact or liaison to work on this emergency operations policy or procedure or whatsoever. It's just that the other thing is with all this equipment here, Jack had told me that he needed to have access to his equipment. That's another reason I feel that we shouldn't be holding here. In the event of emergency, we may not be able to get this building up. So if y'all have any questions, now's the time to say I'll answer to the best I can. And also, I mean, I just feel that is it's a committee that is not necessary, is not required. And
Well, you made good points. I don't think we have the manpower. I think somebody else mentioned that. We don't have the manpower. We don't have the interest in keeping this going or the wherewithal to be able to do that with our limited resources. So I think there's 2 things. We probably have to officially disband it. And then the other thing is find out what to do with the equipment and the resources. Does that go back to them? Or does it can it go to Albemarle County or the fire department? I mean, if we don't want to keep it here, can we donate it or still use that stuff? And okay,
Not do with EPC at all, that is all Jack's.
so he could move that. We could ask him to move that. Okay, and he could do what he wants with it, right? Okay.
So why don't next week, why don't we have 2 other things on the agenda? One is maybe get Walter to make a motion to disband the emergency preparedness committee. And then the other motion would be, do we want to continue support of CERT? And if so, fine, if not, then what alternative do we want to do?
That's
Now
next,
we just have to go and take all this stuff home and sort it in his garage.
is that next week?
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Well,
Well, we've touched on EPC, we haven't touched on CERT tonight. Let me back up just a little bit because all three of us are guilty of this, confusing EPC with CERT. CERT is, from the Homeland Security to FEMA, to CERT to Scottsville and many other communities. That's why I was asking questions about the town application. It's not a town job. It's not even a town volunteer job. And shouldn't be on our town application. It's separate. So we have to look at EPC now. EPC have not met for 8 months formally. There's no interest from the former members. This was highly touted by Aline Morse because she was really upset about the East Palatine train derailment year before last, Avalon. And it really got to her, and she thought it would be beneficial to have an EPC here. It's like I said before, you've all heard me. FEMA has a website. It's called ready.gov for any type of emergency. Almost earthquakes, fires, volcano eruptions. You just push a prompt, and it'll tell you about it and what to do and how to be prepared. And it's updated all the time. So you're not dependent upon, anybody in Scottsville to update it. But the city of Charlottesville, their emergency, I don't know if they have an emergency preparedness office like Albemarle does. However, they have an emergency preparedness webpage. And there are a lot of links. FEMA, they start out acknowledging FEMA and give the same ones that's on the FEMA page. And then they have the option also to go in there and provide information specific to their locality. So I see no reason why Scottsville needs any more than that. All your links, all your websites. Jack came up with a good idea about radio stations, your utilities. Anything, like that would be beneficial, and you can go right there and it can be periodically updated. That information is not going to change that much. And it's one web page. That's it.
Well, just thank you, Councilor Payne, and thank you, Councilor Townsend. Just a couple of comments to make. One of the things that is pretty common in what we do as town councilors is normally either expertise or interest that somebody has as a town councilor, they'll drive a committee, and that driving that committee will make a big difference in terms of the effectiveness of it. And when Eileen was no longer on the council, as you took it over, Councilor Townsend, in a sense, you were manning us that we had, at the same time trying to see what the usefulness would be. Really, I would even add a third issue. Some of it is you kind of find your place, to see how can I serve. Another one is the issue of the committee as it stands right now, as in terms of what's been done, has been, you could either say on hold or ineffective, so to speak. The other issue that you all have brought up is what to do with the program, the CERT program, which really is, as you said, it's a different issue. And I think, number one, coming back to you, thank you for you looking into it. You took over something that was still there, trying to figure out how you can be helpful. As a council, I will say we've seen, I can't even tell you how many different versions of this. Like, for many years, government services didn't exist as a committee. It's a committee at the moment. We've had other committees where we didn't have a parks committee, then we have a parks committee, then was a beautifications committee. I mean, there's just been so many flips in terms of how many things we've done. So in terms of us figuring out what to do, I think it makes sense. The original impetus of the committee isn't there at the moment, and again, you finding what you can do next, because the other issue that we run into, it's not the best measurement to say how many volunteers we have, because you don't have that many volunteers either. There's the measurement of volunteers isn't a good measurement of the needfulness of a committee, but it does mean what a committee can do or not do is limited by who's there to do it. So thank you for what you shared. And I do think, Mr. Mayor, it goes back to what you said in terms of us deciding.
One of the things, you're talking about spirit. The reason that I brought spirit is the community emergency response team. This was brought to my attention because what's happened. And there have been several incidents where Scottsville has been misrepresented. And I would agree, like one of our canal basin things, Mr. Maxwell reached out to Albemarle County Fire Rescue and requested that they bring in a medical unit to be on standby. Well, from my understanding from speaking with different, I spoke with Mr. Puckett, and when I spoke with him, he told me it was his understanding, he thought that Mr. Maxwell was calling on behalf of the town. And I told him, okay, I reached out to the volunteer fire department, and there is a somewhat thing, Scottsville Volunteer Fire Department handles everything within town. And for Albemarle County Fire Rescue to bring in something, it's kind of it's basically like a mutual group. I'd be more than happy to Chief Kirkley explain how that goes, but fire department's never reached out. They were completely blown out, called out ACFR. There's already a little bit of mud in the water due to the fact that Albemarle County Fire Rescue have taken away a lot from Scottsville Volunteer Fire Department. They dumped the area down, and here they are. They're going to show up at one of our events.
I think that's a valid point. I will say, I mean, you have in Mr. Maxwell an amazing, well-intended person for the town, and we all want to see.
And like I said before,
yes.
I appreciate everything he's done. Nothing good. It's just some things that were done that should not have been done. That's just the way it is.
I think that's true of all. I think that's true of all of us. And
I mean, Chief Kirk was here, and I implore him, he could go ahead and tell me what, explain to the town council what that agreement or what the working is between Scottsville Fire Department and Albemarle County Fire Rescue and an incident like that.
Can I interject one thing really quick? Actually, there were two incidents of where the town has, in my opinion, has been misrepresented. From Mr. Maxwell. And so that was the police department had told me that when they went to get the car or investigate the car that was in the river, that there was a call made representing I guess was it the rescue squad or
Representing ACFR, Albemarle County Fire
That was
Rescue.
ECC issue, this is Scottsville Volunteer.
No, you're on
Send it out to CFR.
It's my understanding.
I don't know why.
You know, they have it, so it's two different times that that's happened that I'm aware of and concerned about, so.
and when that happens, that confuses.
Right.
Service to get.
It does, it got a lot of stuff going that morning that didn't need to be going. And if, to back it up even further, if ECC, which is an 911 center, they had been given information that the car was in the river and not to set off activations and notify anybody that the state police had it, they were gonna get it out when the water receded, which was a bad idea. They should have got it out when the issue happened. So they didn't look at that. They had a red flag in the system that they didn't pay attention to. The dispatcher that morning just dispatched the call. And so it got our water rescue team, the county's got a couple water rescue teams, Savannah's water rescue team, and everybody coming and then trying to get that stopped. And then the misrepresentation of ACFR, it had a negative output that should have never happened. As far as the committee, I was on the committee. It got going with Aileen. It had a little fire when it started, and it was for the 911 signs in the town. Once that hit and they got the signs and they went with the direction they went, it just kind of fell apart. And there was no drive for anything else. There was no, the meetings just became nothing, basically. And so members did drop. I was one of the members that dropped because there wasn't anything going on. I think that from the fire side of it, with the town administrator, the fire chief, and representatives from the fire department, and even the town police, you kind of have that committee, if you will. We were working with Javier on the operations plan. A small rough draft was sent to the committee and they rejected it. No real reason why, they just rejected it. And so we went back to the drawing board with Javier, and then Javier took another job. So I talked with Elizabeth about getting that started again. You have a plan in place. It does need to be updated with some stuff, and it just needs a little work. And I think we can get that done through those people versus that committee. As far as this, the preparation and stuff, that committee could easily talk about, like, if there was a hurricane coming and we knew that it was coming, there's preparations that we could do as a town. There's things that we could have in place afterwards. I mean, that could come from that group there. So that kind of suffices that need. CERT teams are great. I'd love to see the town have a CERT team and see it operate, as long as there's rules and guidelines and that there's somebody overseeing it and that there's a proper activation. And because you take after a hurricane, that if a hurricane did come through, and I just keep using that as an example, but even a gas leak or a fire, there's things that team could do in the town to help get us back going again. So I kind of see the need for it, but there needs to be some different direction and leadership for that team. That's just
That's
my
great,
opinion.
thank you.
So we still talking about CERT now?
Well, there's the legal implications we're talking about.
We're all.
So,
And both of them.
but see, that's the problem. It's what's happening.
Forever. But what you can do, is something you don't want to give it back, or give it to a charitable organization like the Volunteer Farm Club.
And we can talk about it.
They
Yeah.
don't want it, and they want it, you know. But the fact is obvious, it's plain as day that you need an emergency committee. You just have to walk out the front door and look where Camille's order was.
Right.
You know, and 72, and you go, whoa. And so, basically, I don't think you have a huge problem with the excess of carrots.
Is that what you were asking?
So, yeah, I did. Email we had, bear with me, I'm not as quick as y'all are here. It would be the email, the one that was sent almost to. It says, we can opt out. You said you can, get town can step back and give it to a volunteer
Well, I'm not sure whose property is owned by, it's owned by the town. One of the things the town could do is donate it to a nonprofit organization. And certainly, worthy nonprofit organizations in town.
It's, the property was not about the town.
Well, then that's a question. Yeah, so if it's not your property, it's voted on addition, council.
Yeah, I think what I had said is to then opt out of the program. If the town didn't respond to it, anymore, you can opt out.
Okay. Well, I mean, and no way we're trying to, we're, in no way trying to discourage volunteers, that's just something that the town should be responsible for. Yeah, and certainly at federal level, we're a town, you know.
Well, I'm not really certain, I don't do these club, how certain works, and, I'm not sure how many people really know. It's a federal agency,
Yeah.
who knows what it does, but,
Right.
I don't think in any scope of imagination, it's a big deal. If the property's not yours, you don't have any really opinion over it, so, you can't really say, give it to the volunteer fire company, but if it's yours, you could, and that's all off the table, that's what Elizabeth is telling me.
Right.
So that's the end of the problem.
So my suggestion was the water and whatever, put it in there, town do not really problem for it. And I'm gonna take the mayor's advice, I don't know if we do it here or for next, but I guess we can make a motion to vote on it next Monday.
Yeah.
I guess one of them will be to vote whether to keep the committee or put the word you use.
Disband it.
And then the other motion, I guess, would be for.
You wanna continue to be a supporter of CERT, or do you want to withdraw your support?
Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
You guys remember last week, the last thing I said was, here's something for you to do. Go home and look at CERT and come back so we can talk about it. I won't ask for a show of hands, but I'd already done that. And when it comes to CERT, they can be activated by Tim in a command center because that is their emergency go-to in a disaster. They call the shots. And the town administrator or her designee, which could be the mayor. It may even be me if he's out in Honolulu where he's supposed to be. But yes. So what I'm saying is a CERT team, whoever the program manager or coordinator or whatever title, they cannot activate themselves. They can only be activated by you or your group. Period. That's a certain rule. The only exception of that is if there's no first responders, professional people that can get to a scene, absolutely none, then they can self-activate, which doesn't happen too often. In fact, you remember the Texas floods they're still dealing with to some point. I can't say that it was a CERT team, but I do know that they were asking volunteers to stay away because they didn't want the volunteers to become victims, ill-trained or untrained. Or maybe they were trained and just unlucky, but they didn't want them to become the victims. So they asked those volunteers to stay away. It could happen here. So they can't activate, they're not going to be boots on the ground. It's more of a post-emergency, post-disaster response. And under the present leadership, and Tim and I talked about this, CERT would not be called. It would not be called under the present leadership and guidance. So that's one way to look at it. One thing I stumbled on, there's a nonprofit in Scottsville called Scottsville Task Force 17, a nonprofit. And on their website, if you scroll down a little bit, it says Scottsville Task Force 17 is now a CERT team. That's not what we voted for. We did not vote for a task force to become a CERT team. It's in a little square about that big. We voted to allow the group to be affiliated with. I won't use the word sponsorship because sponsorship involves money, funding. So I won't even say alliance, but I will say an affiliation. That's where you get the permission to form a certain group. But just to say that, you know, this nonprofit is now the 13 is not right. And there's no way you can read it any other way. Now, I've got more, but I don't want to take your time. It's up to the mayor.
If you make it short and sweet, because
So
it's
I
late.
did ultimately for a cert, and they said that in order to have cert, kind of have, we have a sponsor to run the program. And then that's you guys, so you guys voted back on in June of 2024. It found in minutes and in the video that you guys approved to have the cert program down here.
No, you didn't read your own cert rules, Jack, because it says,
I did take it.
no.
No,
You did not read your own cert rules. It says an affiliation or sponsorship.
Well,
I did not vote for sponsorship.
the vote was to consider an action to create a CERT team.
We
Say
haven't,
anything about,
no sponsorship.
we didn't say anything about sponsoring it, supporting it. We just said an action to create it.
Exactly. And that's what I voted for, and it was created. And talking about activation, July the 3rd, we all received an email. And the heading was CERT Emergency Activation. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, what's going on? And I look down, I see where the local CERT team, whoever they are, had activated themselves to a level 2 response. Now, according to CERT, the way I read it, a level 2 response is a disaster has occurred, an emergency has occurred, and the people like Tim and Elizabeth are requesting you to be on standby for that disaster. So this CERT emergency activation, all it said was we're going to hand out water on July the 4th. That is bending the rules and breaking the rules so bad and highly irresponsible. And it could cause someone to panic or get dispatched to a river. That's all I got to say.
Mr. Mayor, one thing from the fire department side, can we have a letter sent back to the county telling them we don't need them at the festivals or the events in the town, that the fire department would cover that?
Sure.
We had talked to Javier about covering the
Yeah.
festival, and then a letter was sent unbeknownst to us inviting the county in to do it.
Can we get a letter, I'll draft it tomorrow and I'll come by and sign it and we'll.
Thank you.
Okay.
We will gladly cover that.
So do we want to be thinking about, what kind of motion we want to make regarding the certain
I
situation?
can make one motion, does someone else make a second motion, or do I?
Well, we're not gonna make any motions tonight, we're just thinking about what kind of motion we can vote on next week. One would be to disband the emergency preparedness committee. The other motion is that we recognize FERC as a private entity and they're on their own.
It can't operate like that. They've got to have an affiliation.
Then we would vote to sever our affiliation with CERT.
That's correct.
So that would be
And
the other
it would cease,
motion.
it would cease to exist.
Okay,
It would also have to be coordinated with, I believe it's Region 5 in Philadelphia. They're the folks that oversee this part.
How about you making the motion next week to disband the emergency committee? And then you make a motion to sever our toes.
Well, we'll,
Or, you know, work
We'll-
on it so we can take the.
We do that, I make the motion next meeting, I do it today.
Next-
On the agenda.
Be on
It's
the
just-
agenda for next meeting,
next
that's when we vote on things. So we'll take care of those two things next week, next Monday.
if a motion is made,
Yeah, good. We've already talked about the cell phone tower. Elizabeth has, taken several ideas from previous letters we have sent out to our citizens about parking. There's a copy of the most recent one, that's, only change I would make on this is that, I would take the library parking area off of there, that's for library parking only. It's not for people that wanna go play ball or walk back down the street to the flower shop.
And I would go.
And add the municipal parking lot behind the police department.
Also, I think add Scottsville Community Center and the town parking lots down here. I'll give you my changes.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of parking. We went over this, I'm sure there's a lot of parking people don't even know about in this town. You just gotta look for it. We just want to keep them off that street during business hours.
Possibilities.
Yeah. Right, yeah. There you go.
go.
There you go.
I know it has been an issue in the past. I think there's a lot right here to parking, I think it's an awesome idea, I mean, it's allowing the public to work with us instead of
Yeah.
us saying, hey, you got to move the car.
Yeah. I think so.
The funeral home parking lot, what can the people get in touch and say, hey, do y'all have any event today?
I know, that's be a good
As
idea.
long as it's not a funeral, Bradley doesn't seem to have any problem with people parking there.
Or the other place is that tattoo parlor, that thing's hardly ever used.
So let's get this letter nailed down and get it out to the folks. And let's, Mr. Quick has been sitting around all evening, let's talk about
Come on up here.
mowing.
Come on up here.
What do we have to talk about?
Well,
He's sitting on the cliff top, that's small, he's my drawing, so. I told him this morning, gas bill was that good. He said he would be more than willing to take a look at it and give you an idea, but I need to speak to Jim to find out exactly what happened. All I know is that no, he did a little blow, stop on what. He's more than, he's got 7 miles down the road, and he's more than willing to, yeah. Yeah. But.
Yeah.
This is actually came off of it in the middle of the road.
But yes, I would appreciate that. I talked to, Scottsville, power equipment about it and, they needed the ID number and I got that, I just put that, I have followed up right through that. But yes, I wanted to get.
Well, maybe what I is not, what happened to you today?
No, I won't take quick.
I think for that.
So,
So about the mowing and mower, so I did receive two different quotes and Kevin's son actually has the lower right now to finish out mowing for the season. This is, I haven't probably told him that yet. That's what I'd like to go with. And then of course we'll decide what we'll do in the spring to $100, but.
so if you're comfortable with, the
Yes,
quick proposal,
yes,
we will vote on that to accept that proposal next week.
yes.
Can I share some just general information?
Yes, sir.
So, one of the things that I wanted to do was, sort of, I've been critical, okay, and then I was trying to come up with a solution, and I started doing some stuff. And it was actually really good to for me to actually do this stuff with my son to see exactly how long And it goes back to what I did learn is that having it done and maintained takes less time than if it gets overbearing and it was stalls. The first time it took about 9 hours, okay? Total man hours. At the end, it was 6 hours if it was done. The 6 hours, just the lower part down here, Canal Basin Square, the top of the levee, and then the farmer's market in there. So you're really looking at about 6 hours of working time if it's maintained. What I suggested and understand was get through this year and then over the winter time, come up with a plan for a piece of equipment. We have a better mower than what the town has, but I think it makes sense. I would volunteer if you want to take it somewhere. I will put it on a trailer and take it somewhere if you want them to look at it. But in general, 6 hours to do those, not doing the Bruce Park. So if
Right.
was he can, the idea was for him to.
Push that, yes.
Okay, that's right. But did y'all have any questions as far as?
We appreciate it.
I walked the town with it and I looked in at, and Van Cleef has been the best it's ever been. I mean, really understood how to do that, and especially the weeding part. And it's been cut before, but never precisely done in the walkway and under the picnic tables, under the kiosk. So I think, to me, this is showcases the area, just like when I guess you're going to continue doing it for the event, right?
Well, we'll just do it. I mean, it'll be done.
Yeah.
Just the lower.
Yeah, the meadow area.
Not there.
This, a couple of weeks ago, with James Walter, they were looking at the, trees and everything for the dam up there, and, they were, I guess it was the gentleman that maybe mows the levee. Someone was there and they were mowing everything, and mowed the top of that dam, and they were going, at the house, yeah.
Yeah, because I wasn't quite sure.
You did that, though.
That cut was floating over, I mean, that, it kind of a little bit of a hill, but
No, I think they ride. They walk by and ride.
that's what they do out there.
They do all of that. They do that, but they don't do the top. And I was gonna say the top, people walk up there, that probably should be on the it makes sense to have whoever does it.
You think the foot traffic would help with the grass?
Yeah, but it's not
Not a whole lot of
enough. It's not enough, but there's a lot more people, I will say, a lot more people, the Canal Basin Square, totally blown away. And there's 45 minutes and typically have 2 people come through there. 2 actually visitors will come through there during that time frame. And I don't know, maybe they see somebody in there cutting it and stop by, but whatever reason, there are people that actually visit it. We have more visitors probably than what we realize. I will say that. I was surprised, not surprised, but it was taken aback that people don't. That was all I was gonna say. We're happy for him to do it. And if you need the mower to be moved or something, but I would say that.
Talking to you, and, I wrote them as the phones, they're gonna be, resolved, to get ready to take. I wanna say that the UTV and get it looked at as well as the knowledge, but that's.
Does he need somebody to move it for him, or did you say you had a trailer?
We have a trailer up there.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Yeah, there's a small older truck. And the police chief has also said that we can borrow his,
Oh, true.
for anybody's fault.
If he
It's
can,
in a vault.
that's what I would say, get some decent equipment, I mean, for him to work off of and.
Yeah.
And,
You know, Glenn, but.
no, but. Sorry.
Okay, so we talked about the volunteer application already.
Already done that, levee repairs.
I do not have anything to report on the levee repairs, and then the Mink Creek Dam.
I will call Mike Pruitt again to see where our world is on that thing. And anything what about the dam?
I've talked to Jim also about the priorities of cleaning, the water intake. That, up there, and I think we may have a line on the flat line of those.
They have one, yeah.
Yeah, just that cleans out.
Uh-huh.
I need to follow up with the, the engineer that gave us that inspection report and asked her how, do we clean the vegetation that goes all the way down to the water's edge? I don't know if you all know that.
And the park committee said they could probably get a group of people to do like a cleanup day, you know, they couldn't take down the trees, but they could probably help with that, if that helps.
All right, any questions for the town administrator? Thank everybody for a long session, we'll see you next month.
See you longer.